Hi everyone, let's talk about Coimbra. Close? I think so. It's a dice drafting game from two of the designers of Lorenzo Il Magnifico, a fantastic game from a couple of years ago. Playthrough on this channel somewhere, and there's a playthrough of this if you're wondering why there's just a person talking to a box. But yeah, the game itself. I love this game. It's presented beautifully, and the dice drafting, it's a mechanism that I really enjoy in games, and it's done particularly well in this, that we don't particularly have a player color that we are aiming for, and we are trying to take certain numbers to make the cards cheap, but we are trying to get certain colors so we'll be able to execute certain influence actions at the end of each round. And trying to balance that out is it's the game, really. Trying to advance yourself enough in each of the influence tracks by taking the right cards. But I'm speaking from a two-player perspective here. I've only played it two players, as with a lot of the games that I play. But having the blockers is a nice way of padding the game for missing more players, because you can work out which cards the dummy player is going to take, and it's another balance between taking the dice that you want you want to get the cards for as cheap as possible. Really, you want to take ones if anything, but the dice go out in highest to lowest, and that's the order in which you pick the cards. So you also have to try and balance between wanting to be a cheapskate and wanting the card that you need to actually be there by the time you actually get to buy it. And then you get to advance along that particular track based on what the card says. Hopefully have a power, either an instant power or do a little bit of engine building, that's something that's going to kick off every time a certain phase happens. I didn't mean to have a cut there. Batteries should last longer. Anyway, so yeah, you're trying to get all of these different powers together, and then in the influence actions, you are not only trying to build your income back up, trying to get your coins or your shield back up, but also you have this little thing on the board that you are trying to spread your influence around these various cities, and then get the bonuses from them as well. And they progress up to, you're running around the number ones, and maybe even getting rewarded for the number of cities that you've visited. And then the higher up cities, their powers can get really, they can seem like a really big deal, but it's going to take you a lot more steps to get there, and you will really have needed to progress along that particular track to even think about going for those cities. So it really depends what you want to put your strength in. But that is another positive of the game as well, that there are plenty of different paths for you to go down, especially with all of the cards that are in the game. I think you use all of them every time. That's true of Lorenzo as well. So it's more about the order in which they'll come out. There are a couple of take that cards that, you lose something for another player, or when another player does this, you take something from them. There weren't very many. I think there were only about 3 or 4 that, yeah, for us, we don't like that in games. And it did throw a bit of a spanner in the works that, okay, well, obviously no one's going to take that, and unfortunately that's not come out in the position that the dummy player is going to take it. So that kind of made that row null and void for that particular round. But even having said that, we're pretty extreme about it, and it only cropped up, I think, once or twice. It wasn't a huge deal at all. And I haven't even mentioned the best part yet. My favourite part, as shallow as it might sound, is you put the dice in little plastic castles. That's worth watching the playthrough just for that, isn't it? And that, makes you remember that it was you that took that dice, because they sit together on the particular row that you placed them on. But it's a beautiful little touch. It's you can see from the cover, can't you, that it's going to be a pretty game, but the production of it is really nice as well. I like the different meeples, and the plastic castles is just, I wouldn't have, it's like the plunger with Queensdale. I would never have thought I needed a plunger in a board game. I would never have thought I needed a plastic castle in a board game, but it turns out that I do. And thanks to Coimbra, I have got one now. But this is all just babbling for babbling's sake, isn't it? The playthrough is the real thing. That's really going to give you the idea of whether you'd be interested in the game. Maybe you just like hearing me natter. How are you? I'm going to stop now. Reply to that in the comments. That is Coimbra. I'll see you for the next game. Bye, everyone.